Acting AG Blanche and FBI Director Patel announced a grand jury has indicted the leftist NGO Southern Poverty Law Center on 11 counts. This is massive. SPLC said that they were fighting white supremacy, but they were manufacturing the extremism it purports to expose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred, per Acting AG Blanche. The best part, they've been charged in the Middle District of Alabama. They're screwed. Oh my God. SPLC has been hit with 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. Oh my God, this is amazing.
Today, a few minutes ago, in the Middle District of Alabama, a grand jury returned an 11-count indictment charging the Southern Poverty Law Center with 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. According to the charges in the indictment, the SPLC is a nonprofit entity that purports to fight white supremacy and racial hatred by reporting on extremist groups and conducting research to
You swear this looks like an SNL skit? Well, that's probably because Mr. Cash Patel over here always looks like he's about to get, like, blown up. He just has that stare where it makes you feel like he's very disconcerted and something bad is gonna happen.
A nonprofit entity that purports to fight white supremacy and racial hatred by reporting on extremist groups and conducting research to inform law enforcement groups with the goal of dismantling these groups. As the indictment describes, the SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. The indictment describes this conduct in detail, but one troubling example is that the SPLC was paying a member of the leadership group that planned the Unite the Right protest in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017 that resulted in the death of 1 person and injured dozens more.
Holy shit!
This particular person being paid by the SPLC allegedly received approximately $270,000 over the course of 8 years.
What the fuck? That's $270,000 over the course of 8 years was enough to sell out your fucking country? Who the fuck were they paying? Whoever the fuck they were paying, I think should be strung up before any politicians get strung up, man. What the fuck? What the fuck? That's insane! In
total, according to the indictment, between 2014 and 2023, SPLC paid at least $3 million to 8 individuals at least. These individuals were affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan, United Klans of America, National Socialist Movement, Aryan Nations Affiliated Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club, the Nationalist Socialist Party of America, Nazis, and the American Front. Now,
the SPLC was paying for all of that? Hold on a minute.
This particular person being paid by the SPLC allegedly received approximately $270,000 over the course of 8 years.
That's so fucking sick.
In total, according to the indictment, between 2014 and 2023, SPLC paid at least $3 million to 8 individuals at least. These individuals were affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan, United Klans of America, National Socialist Movement,
Democrats
Aryan Nations Affiliated Sadistic Souls
allegations!
Motorcycle Club, the Nationalist Socialist Party of America, Nazis, and the American Front. Now, as the indictment lays out, after SPLC paid members of these extremist groups, it created work product that reported on these activities that the members participated in or contributed to. And to that end, it was doing the exact opposite of what it's told its donors it was doing.
That's insane. That's insane. I want to point out Bondi sat on this for a full year. Yeah, well, she was a useless bitch. Like, holy fuck. The demand for white supremacy and racism from white people greatly outweighed the supply, so the market did its thing and used money to increase the supply. Good fucking God, man. Fuentes is a Fed, more like Fuentes is an NGO stooge fighting southern poverty and standing against defamation, am I right? Man, learning everything the SPLC did just there, knowing what they've done in the past and seeing what they've been charged with is just a slap on the wrist. Yeah, hopefully there's more. Patchouli, thank you. Thank you to the SPLC for debunking the myth that the party switched. Dems never beating the Klan allegations. That was the first thing he said. I was like, hold up. Democrats paying the KKK because the supply of racism isn't enough for them to keep bitching. This is why that victim mentality needs to be resoundingly shut down all the time. Because being a victim became currency if you're on the left. So this one says $1 million to the National Alliance affiliate, 300,000 plus to Aryan Nations affiliate, 270 plus to the Unite the Right member, 140k plus to a former National Alliance chairman, 73k plus to former KKK members, and 19k plus to America Front president and, does it say felon? Does it say felon? I also like how they couldn't put National Socialist for some reason. Like, the National Alliance says something completely different than the National Socialist Alliance, so maybe you should have put that in there. Southern Poverty Law Center was indicted Tuesday on federal fraud charges alleging it improperly raised millions of dollars to pay informants to infiltrate the Ku Klux Klan, I can't even say it right, and other extremist groups, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said. The civil rights group faces charges including wire fraud, bank fraud, and conspiracy to commit money laundering in the case brought by the Justice Department in Alabama, where the organization is based. The indictment came shortly after the SPLC revealed the existence of a criminal investigation into its program to pay informants to infiltrate extremist groups and gather information on their activities. The group said the program was used to monitor threats of violence, and the information was often shared with local and federal law enforcement. SPLC CEO Brian Fair said the organization will vigorously defend ourselves, our staff, and our work. Blanche said that the SPLC paid at least $3 million between 2014 and 2023 to people affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan, the United Klans of America, the National Socialist Party of America, and other extremist groups. I bet we're gonna see so many fucking people trying to defend this shit. Oh, and it's like, no, they were trying to do the same MO we see constantly from, like, non-affiliated leftist people, where they try to fake a hate crime and get tons of attention and say, look, white supremacy is the #1 thing facing our country that must be dealt with. The SPLC was not dismantling these groups, it was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. He said the SPLC never disclosed to donors details about its informant program. They're required to, under the laws associated with a nonprofit, to have certain transparency and honesty in what they're telling donors they're going to spend money on, and what their mission statement is, and what they're doing to raise money. Blanche said the money was passed from the center through 2 different bank accounts before being loaded onto prepaid cards to give the members of the extremist groups, which also included National Socialist Movement and the Aryan Nations affiliated Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club. It's just so fucking goofy. The SPLC's Fair said the program was kept quiet to protect the safety of informants. When we began working with informants, we were living in the shadow of the height of the civil rights movement, which had seen bombings at churches, state-sponsored violence against demonstrators, and the murders of activists that went unanswered by the justice system. There's no question that what we learned from those informants saved lives. I just don't believe you. Maybe back at, like, the height of the civil rights movement, sure, but now, no. Now you just need to pay people to make racist content. So you can claim that racism is still a huge problem you're fighting against. The SPLC, which is based in Montgomery, Alabama, was founded in 1971 and used civil litigation to fight white supremacist groups. Oh. Well, now that they tell me the year, somehow I don't believe that it was white supremacist groups doing the bombings. Somehow I think maybe they were trying to communist tactic themselves into look at what the real problem is. The investigation could add to concerns that Trump's Republican administration is using the Justice Department to go after conservative opponents and his critics. It follows a number of other investigations into Trump's foes that have raised questions about whether the law enforcement agency has been turned into a political weapon. I'm pretty sure the Democrats turned it into a political weapon ages ago. I don't know what they mean by this. The SPLC has faced intense criticism from conservatives who have accused it of unfairly maligning right-wing organizations as extremist groups because of their viewpoints. I mean, they have. Like, that's just not even debatable at this point. Everyone is an extremist except for the leftists who light things on fire. They're peaceful protesters. The center regularly condemns Trump's rhetoric and policies around voting rights, immigration, and other issues. Well, I mean, Trump's rhetoric doesn't go far enough, so I don't know why you're criticizing him. The center came under fresh scrutiny after the assassination last year of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, bringing renewed attention to its characterization of the group that Kirk founded and led. The center included a section on that group, Turning Point USA, in a report titled The Year in Hate and Extremism 2024, that described the group as a case study of the hard right in 2024. Describing Charlie Kirk and his organization as anything other than just like a regular conservative is crazy to me. Like, he was very moderate and had like moderate positions for wanting to engage with these things. Like, I said, hard right, hard R, is this a joke? It's us, we're the hard R now. FBI Director Kirsche Patel said last year that the agency was severing its relationship with the center, which had long provided law enforcement with research on hate crimes and domestic extremism. Research like from McKinsey studies, which is just fucking falsified and made up. Patel said the center had been turned into a partisan smear machine, he's right, and he accused it of defaming mainstream Americans with its hate map that documents alleged anti-government and hate groups inside the United States. Also true. House Republicans hosted a hearing centered on the SPLC in December, saying it coordinated efforts with President Joe Biden's Democratic administration to target Christian and conservative Americans and deprive them of their constitutional rights to free speech and free association. Well, hopefully something will actually get done about it this time. U.S. Nuclear Chief Andrew Hugg got escorted out. Yeah, somebody mentioned that earlier, but I didn't pull up a tab. Let's fucking breaking another news. Top U.S. nuclear chief caught leaking sensitive national security information to a stranger, reveals Army chemist was exposed to U.S. chemical nerve agent, confirms U.S. strike killed children in Iran, discloses U.S. plan to kill Iran's new supreme leader. If he, Mojtaba Khamenei, doesn't change his ways, yeah, they're, United States, going to kill him. The easiest way to get intelligence, send a pretty girl, talk to the guy, I have to resist your eyes. That is so incredibly ironic that he said that. Bro, you have no self-awareness. I was like, if you are working with like government secrets and anyone more attractive than like, what's the fucking name of that weird Icelandic singer? Bjork. Anyone more attractive than Bjork walks up to you, you don't fucking take that bait, man. You don't do that. Anyone more attractive than Jeb Bush's wife starts hitting on you, you gotta say no, man. No, bro. And you just gotta hit him with the boombox playing that song. It's like, if you want to be happy for the rest of your life, never make a pretty woman your wife, you know? Even Bjork, don't trust Bjork. Do not say anything bad about Bjork. She's perfect. She wears clothes like Lady Gaga, though, so, you know, that would be the red flag of, hey, that woman is crazy, but she's not a Chinese spy. Green flag is go. Your eyes have mesmerized me so much, almost like you're an intelligence. Why would you entrust someone this low IQ to handle secrets, man? Come the fuck on. Kirsche, Wagyu. Also, Kirsche, if you're about to make it, it's a psyop. It's not all about having a 10 out of 10 Chinese spy wife chat. Andrew Hugg, a U.S. chief of chemical nuclear surety, was caught on hidden camera casually revealing sensitive information to a stranger in a public restaurant. Andrew Hugg, a chief of chemical nuclear surety in charge of nuclear and chemical safety, was caught on hidden camera releasing information regarding the U.S. nuclear information. He claims the U.S. still possesses nerve agents and says a U.S. Army chemist recently died from exposure. He also acknowledges U.S. airstrikes have killed children in Iran, calling it collateral damage. Holy shit. And revealed to the journalists how nuclear launch decisions are made in real time. Well, I mean, they're not. We haven't nuked anyone since Japan, to my knowledge. Hugg described how the United States could assassinate Iran's next leader if he didn't change. While admitting the U.S. has no plans to use nuclear weapons, we're not going to nuke anybody. All of this was casually revealed to an undercover journalist in a restaurant. This raises serious questions about this official's judgment, security, and what's really happening behind closed doors. We have reached out to the Pentagon and US Army for comment, and they are working on a response. I think the craziest thing about all of this is, like, they should have easier ways, I guess, of, like, finding out people leaking information. Even in, like, content creation, right? If I'm talking about something that's, like, OPSEC related, or, like, I can't publicly say it, I will always add in or change and detail in the story for everyone I tell it to. Because then I have a mental checklist of, if this information gets out, I know exactly who fucked me. I know exactly who is the duplicitous scumfuck who leaked this information. It's like, you don't want to, like, tell a fabricated story. You're telling someone real information. You just add something in. You know, maybe I was wearing a lime-colored jacket instead of a banana-colored one, right? It's like something like that. You could easily tell where it comes from. Are you certain this man's date wasn't James O'Keefe in disguise again? If I play this video and it's James O'Keefe in drag, I will lose my fucking mind.
You might kill the next guy, his son.
His son.
If he does his things in ways that everything kills. We're gonna shoot missiles and destroy some stuff.
Yeah.
But if you want to, like, win, if you want to, like, make the country do what you want, you have to put people there.
I was hearing something that we killed kids in the car. Did we actually?
Well, there's been some collateral damage, yeah, for sure. They always die in war. Yeah. So they're agents.
He's like, yeah, kids always die in war. Don't worry about it, lady. Suck my dick.
Chemical weapon. It's like Pandora's box.
A nuclear and chemical safety branch chief in the United States Department of the Army spills detailed information about their possession of nerve agents.
If I'm going to, like, honeypot psyop you, all right? It's not, I'm, like, talking to you as a normal person. That's not going to get you to spill secrets to me, right? But everyone hears the Valley Girl accent and thinks, yeah, this woman is probably a couple bushels short of a full barrel, right? And so you want to get in there and be like, oh my god, that's, like, so freaking cool that you work for the government and shit. Like, I don't know if I could do something like that. Your job just seems, like, so really difficult, man. Like, I hear all of this stuff going on in the news, but you must be perfectly fine because, like, you know everything going on behind the scenes. So, like, why don't you tell me about that? Did we kill some kids in Iran? Like, I've been hearing that, man, and that's so sad. I'm sad. And they'll be like, oh, no, don't worry about it. Kids always die in war, honey.
And lungs won't work, your heart won't work, nothing will work.
Revealing that a U.S. Army chemist was exposed to the nerve agent due to careless handling.
She's supposed to wear all this gear, and she's like, I don't like it. She just wore, like, Crocs and her own clothes.
Yeah.
What?
And so it's soaked in her clothes. And just soaked very well on her skin.
Well, that kind of sounds like she's the retard then. That's not our fault. What are we doing here? What, did he just say that, like, a woman was supposed to be wearing, like, specialty gear to handle this shit? And she was like, I don't like your hazmat gear. I'm gonna wear Crocs and a t-shirt while I handle sarin gas. Why do we give women these jobs, man?
We just don't know.
Yeah.
And so it's soaked in her clothes. And just soaked very well on her skin. So she could literally start touching stuff. Other people would touch like a door. Mm-hmm. And then people would die.
Did she get fired? Because she should have been fired, right?
It goes on to reveal intimate details about the U.S. nuclear arsenal.
So you said
Stupid women are lying to impress. That's true. That's true. Yeah, she's just not as smart as you know? I bet you would have worn the hazmat suit while handling sarin gas. We could trust you with sarin gas. Oh my god, that's true! You could trust me with the sarin gas!
there's missiles underground.
also discloses that the United States military has no official plans to nuke Iran.
We're not thinking about nuking anybody. We're not believing nukes. We're not going to nuke it.
And the exact methods that the U.S. uses to defend against nuclear attacks.
We have all these sensors in space. We have radars, all these sensors to detect a launch. Space satellites with radars, you'll see it on the radar. You actually see the thing flying.
And confirms what many have suspected, that Ukrainian officials were using the money sent from the United States to buy themselves mansions and luxury sports cars.
I worked on Obama's tax money that he said. They just stole it and they bought houses, cars, like $100,000 cars. If they can get themselves rich and leave and go live in Dubai, that's better than, they don't care about the people. That government is so corrupt. You're not a spy, right? No. Your eyes have mesmerized me so much that I'm almost going to tell you.
Wait. Are they at a Fogo de Chao? Is this the pineapple mint fucking thing that I get all the time? I love the pineapple mint thing at the Fogo de Chao.
That's why that's the easiest way to get intelligence. Like, just send a pretty girl, talk to the guy.
He called her pretty.
I'm independent journalist Brianna Morello, here filling in for James O'Keefe for the latest exclusive report inside the U.S. Department of the Army.
I do work with like chemical weapons, nuclear weapons, but I do the safety, security stuff. I was the chief of chemical nuclear surety, which that's like not many people like outside, but in this world, surety means safety, reliability, security. It's like all the surety just means like all.
He thinks she's so fucking stupid. I love this whole thing. All the things to keep it safe. I make sure the people are reliable. There's no psycho people working on the weapons. Except for that one lady who was wearing Crocs and handling gas. Except for her. She's a psycho person, but that's fine.
I don't want a psycho person with access to that stuff.
Andrew Hugg is a nuclear and chemical surety branch chief with the U.S. Department of the Army. He reveals a surprising amount of detailed information to our undercover journalists about the locations of the U.S. nuclear arsenal and the methods that are being used by the United States to defend against foreign nuclear attacks. To protect U.S. national security interests, we have omitted certain pieces of information from this report.
So you said there's missiles underground.
Yeah. In the Cold War days, we had them like all over the place. But now we've kind of shrunk them down with Russia working with treaties. But then now you got China that's like, well, I don't have a treaty. So China's building more. They're planning to build more than we got.
Okay,
so
really?
That's the problem. Is like we have all these sensors.
How is the OPSEC training this bad? The last time we watched one of these O'Keefe interviews, and it was also like really crazily bad OPSEC, we proved once again that like my OPSEC was better than unironic government agents. That should never be the case. An anime fox woman should never have a better grasp on OPSEC than government agents.
In space, we have radars, all these sensors to detect a launch.
You detect the launch coming from someone else?
Yeah, with space satellites, with radars, you'll see it on the radar. You'll actually see the thing flying. You'll know how big it is, the speed. You'll know that's a missile. I mean, you can tell all this stuff.
According to Andrew Hugg, nuclear officials that oversee the missile launch procedures are trained to initiate a launch even if it is a Girl Scout that presents the launch order with the correct codes. Fire.
We're literally trained that, if a Girl Scout, this is serious, we were always trained if a Girl Scout gives you a message, a launch message, she knocks on your door, goes, here you go, she gives you a launch message on a box of cookies, she wrote it down. If it passes all the checks, go. If she just passes it on to you, that's why we're trying to say, no matter how you get it, take action. Because that's how you have to do it.
Who would be sending the nuclear launch codes via Girl Scout cookie?
The time has come for this
I feel like we maybe have better ways to do that, maybe? I don't know, do they still have, like, the pigeons at the White House? Why is the government like this?
War, because you don't know. They can take down most of the communication.
Right.
So it's an extreme example, but we actually would train that. Like, no matter what, you go.
While the example may sound humorous, imagine if this branch chief was actually talking to a Chinese spy. He has now just revealed where our nukes are stored and the exact method we would use to defend ourselves against Chinese nukes. And even revealed that if China wanted to trigger a false launch from the US, all they need is the launch code and a Girl Scout. On a second interaction, Andrew Hugg went into details about the war with Iran, confirming that there are no plans to nuke Iran. But in the wake of the February assassination of the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Hugg tells our journalist that President Trump is going to kill his son, Mojtaba Khamenei, if he, quote, doesn't change his ways.
Do you think we're actually gonna...
That's a very interesting, we're going to kill your son. Look at how many we've already killed.
We're not moving nukes to. We're not going to make it. Yeah, we're not doing that now.
Yeah.
We're not thinking about nuking anybody.
Do you think we're gonna kill one of them here this year?
Don't do it. Yeah, I don't know the rules, but he might kill the next guy, his son.
His son?
Yeah, because his son took over. He won't be any different.
Oh, you think they would bring his son?
If he doesn't change his ways, then everything kills.
Journalist goes on to ask Andrew Hugg about the March 2026 strike in Minab, Iran, which killed over 150 school children. It has been deemed a violation of international humanitarian law.
This is the moment a missile slammed into an Iranian base in Minab. Weapons experts tell CNN the wings and tail are consistent with a Tomahawk missile. This new video is the clearest evidence yet that suggests it was the United States that struck an elementary school next to that Revolutionary Guards base.
Can I ask a question? And I don't want this to sound callous, right? Because I don't want people to die. Dying is bad, hot take. But if the Iranian army people purposefully put military base things near a school in the hopes of exploiting our principles of not wanting civilian casualties, what are we supposed to do? What would like just say, okay, continue doing terrorist things? Like that doesn't make sense to me. How is it our fault that they put these people in danger on purpose? Just surrender and let Iran do terrorist stuff? That doesn't seem like a good idea. Just die, apparently. The building was allegedly repurposed from the IRGC to a school. Yeah, which is my point. Like, why would you make that school there unless you were purposely trying to use, hey, we have women and children here, you can't attack our military infrastructure?
Scores of students.
To which Andrew coldly replies, quote, there's been collateral damage. They, meaning kids, always die in war.
I was hearing something that we killed kids in a war. Did we actually?
I'm sure there's been some collateral damage. Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, they always die in war. But you fight. I mean,
But we actually did kill kids out there?
Not intentionally, but yeah. Well, I'm sure we've killed civilians here in Iran around that relay.
You can't even get the country right.
Possibly with science weapons. We're trying to do it here, so let's use this weapon versus that weapon. It might be safer in the school over here.
War do be like that, Miss Kirsche. I fucking don't want war, man. I don't like it. K-boy, thank you. The fact that they're willing to do that to their own kids is insane. It really is. It really is. Like, some people were saying that we have schools on like military bases, and it's like, I would say the same thing. If we're putting like elementary school kids on a military base in the hopes that we don't get striked there because there's kids there, first of all, I don't think anyone who would attack us would fucking care if they kill children, first of all. Second of all, we would be guilty of the same thing, trying to take advantage of someone else's principles by using children as a shield.
You identify it's here. It's an apartment building.
Yeah.
But perhaps the most disturbing of all, Andrew Hugg details how the U.S. is researching and developing nerve agents or chemical weapons in a laboratory in Aberdeen, Maryland.
So, nerve agent is a chemical weapon that if you spray it on people, it will make a certain enzyme which is called cholesterol. It regulates your
Cholesterol.
neurotransmissions. Okay, so with this chemical, the nerve agent, it kills that enzyme. And lungs won't work, your heart won't work, nothing will work. We have it here, just here in the same barrel.
The nerve agent that Andrew is describing here is sarin. It's a highly toxic human-made organophosphorus. Sarin acts as a potent inhibitor of enzymes, and over time, the binding becomes irreversible. In 1987, the U.S. joined the Chemical Weapons Convention.
I was just about to say, isn't it a literal war crime to like use that stuff? Like sarin gas and white phosphorus are both war crimes, right?
Which bans the development, stockpiling, and use of chemical weapons. The U.S. had about 30,000 tons of chemical weapons, including nerve agents. In July 2023, the U.S. completed destruction of the last declared chemical weapons at the Bluegrass Army Depot in Kentucky. As long as the nerve agents are not weaponized, the U.S. is allowed to conduct research and development for scientific purposes such as preventative treatment. However, this becomes more concerning when Andrew Hugg reveals that one of the chemists in that lab was so careless, refusing to wear appropriate safety gear, that she accidentally exposed herself to the nerve agent.
She was just being lazy, and she like wore Crocs, and she,
Well, I mean, like, you also said that she refused to wear the hazmat. Like, she blatantly said that she wasn't going to wear that stuff because she didn't find it comfortable. Why wasn't she fired for this, man?
lazy.
What? Who's she? Or what?
She's her lab tech. She's a lab tech. She's supposed to wear all this gear, and she's like, I don't like it. She just wore like Crocs and her own clothes.
Yeah.
And so it's soaked in her clothes. And just soaked very well on her skin. So she could literally just start touching stuff. Other people would touch like a door, and then people would die.
White phosphorus is not a war crime. Incendiary weapons are not restricted against military targets. I thought white phosphorus like melted people. I thought that's why it was made into a war crime. It does. It's not a crime to make them, it's just a crime to use them. They're a deterrent like our nukes. Plenty of other countries have them. White phosphorus is horrid, yeah. It does a lot of things. Yeah, like I could have sworn it was a war crime, but there's a bunch of people in chat saying that it's not.
The journalist also questioned Andrew Hugg on Ukraine and whether the diplomats were really using U.S. aid to buy themselves mansions and sports cars, and the nuclear branch chief confirms.
I mean, everyone else is coming here illegally to buy themselves mansions and sports cars. Why not the Ukrainian people getting money from us, right? Like,
quote, they stole our money. They bought houses, $100,000 cars. They can get themselves rich and go live in Dubai.
Like I said, I lived in Ukraine and worked there with the government.
Really?
That government is so corrupt. Like, they stole our money. Like, I worked on Obama's tax money that he sent. They just stole it, and they bought houses, cars, like $100,000 cars. They're officials in the government.
Yeah.
So they get their hands on the tax money from you and me.
Oh my gosh.
And they're like, oh yeah, and then now that it's like 100 billion, 200 billion, they're like stealing it all. So
Dang. Okay, so
yeah, it's terrible.
why would they use that money for that? Wouldn't they need it for like nuclear weapons?
Exactly.
why would they care? Why would they? It's like, we just got free American money. Let's buy mansions, bro.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. But but if they can get themselves rich and leave and go live in Dubai, that's better than they don't care about the people. No, they don't.
I would expect the same thing from our politicians if we were the third world country being given tons of fucking money. Not that Ukraine specifically is third world, but it's just typically that's where our money goes.
They couldn't care less about the people.
Andrew Hugg even details that he personally witnessed 10 Ukrainian officials steal $1 million each and immediately spend it on luxury cars.
Like, you can tell about Ukraine and how corrupt. And like, when I was there, they stole $1 million one day. That was the first thing I saw stolen was $1 million, and they bought these guys that make $350 a month in their political job. Each guy, 10 guys stole $1 million. They each bought a $100,000 car, like BMW 7, Range Rover, all $100,000 cars from the money Obama gave. Yeah.
The branch chief claims he reported it to the Obama White House, to which they replied, quote, we don't care.
Did anything ever happen with that? Like, is it?
I reported it, and guess what the White House said? We don't care.
As long as it's harming Americans, we don't care what happens.
Don't talk about it. We don't want that in the paper because it makes Obama look bad. It looks like he's not in control.
Really?
Yeah, they don't care. It's like, it's $1 million. We don't care.
Toward the end of the interaction, Andrew Hugg waited for the journalist outside of the bathroom and confronted her, asking whether she is a spy, indicating that Andrew is well aware that the information he was spilling could be severely incriminating if she, in fact, were a spy.
Why would you say that?
spying. You're not spying, though, right?
You're just powerful.
But you're not spying, right?
You're just powerful.
She's literally doing what I said would work earlier. Oh my god. Oh my god, that's like so interesting that you're like a powerful government man. Oh my god, you're like so in control. I like that.
And I like that. Let's go back to the table. Okay, so
As political tensions appear to be reaching a boiling point all over the world, and the U.S. officially entered a state of open warfare with Iran, national security and discretion is more important than ever. Andrew Hugg is lucky that he was talking to an OMG undercover.
I pre-watched the video you guys told me about while I was already live. Are you a spy, Kier? No, my mom used me as what could have been a honeypot if she was smart. But unfortunately, she just wanted to fuck random men instead. Good thing Kier didn't become a glowy. She'd be too powerful. Chat, I wanted to be in the FBI, brother. I like doing investigative things.
A journalist and not an Iranian spy, as he casually discussed Trump's strategy and intentions. When a top nuclear official is this loose-lipped about our defensive measures, Iranian war plans, locations of nukes, while our country is actively at war, it puts every single one of us in mortal danger. And as always, if you are on the inside of any government agency, federal, state, or local office, and you see corruption, if you know that the American people are being lied to, reach out to us. Email us at tips@o'keefemediagroup.com or text us at 914-491-9395. An OMG journalist will get right back to you. Stay tuned.
If you were in the FBI, my boss would have been Dan Bingo Bongo Magongo. Yeah, I would have not ever said his name correctly. The chatter that told her to watch the video was a plant. This whole segment was pre-planned. We're reaching levels of manufactured content never before seen. Amnesty International wrote a letter called The State of the World's Human Rights, Amnesty International's annual report 2025-2026. Amnesty International calls on states to stop predatory anti-rights order from taking hold in a pivotal moment for humanity. Predatory attacks on multilateralism, international law, and civil society marked 2025. What in the fuck is multilateralism? The alternative is on offer is a racist, patriarchal, unequal, and anti-rights world order. That sounds kind of based, actually. Protesters, activists, and global bodies are working to resist, disrupt, and transform. The world is on the brink of a perilous new era, driven by powerful states, corporations, and anti-rights movements' assaults on multilateralism, international law, and human rights. Amnesty International warned today upon launching its annual report, The State of the World's Human Rights. States, international bodies, and civil society must reject the politics of appeasement and collectively resist these attacks to prevent this new order from taking hold, the organization said in its assessment of the human rights situation in 144 countries. Now, I know they're going to be arguing on the side of like leftism and globalism, but it's really ironic to say that states, international bodies, and civil society must reject the politics of appeasement, considering the entirety of the left makes sure their shit gets pushed through by like making sure everyone has to appease them under threat of losing their job or losing their sponsors or losing their life even. It's just like, that's nuts. That's a nutty thing to fucking say. We are confronting the most challenging moment of our age. Humanity is under attack from transnational anti-rights movements and predatory governments determined to assert their dominance through unlawful wars and brazen economic blackmail, said Amnesty International Secretary General Agnes Callamard. I really hate reading stuff like this because it's like reading something that is correct, but it's coming from people that are so far out of living in reality that it doesn't make any sense for them to be the ones saying it. It's like, this is what you're doing. This is the thing that you people do. So like, how dare you, actually? Let me put on the environmentalist cap and give you the how dare you. Taste my magic spells. It's just like, it's jarring, man. For years, Amnesty International has denounced the gradual disintegration of human rights in every part of the world, warning of the consequences of flagrant rule breaking by governments and corporate actors. We've also demonstrated time and again how double standards and selective compliance with international law have weakened the multilateral system and accountability. How do you write this and not at all ever think, am I the bad guy? Like, what the fuck? What marks this moment as fundamentally different is that we're no longer documenting erosion around the system's edges. This is a direct assault on the foundation of human rights and the international rules-based order by the most powerful actors for the purpose of control, impunity, and profit. Yes, this is exactly what communists do. You are correct. I would agree with you. But instead of accurately depicting yourselves as the problem, you're saying it's everyone else. The spiraling conflict in the Middle East is a product of this descent into lawlessness, following the initial unlawful US-Israeli attacks in violation of the UN Charter, which triggered Iran's indiscriminate retaliation. The conflict has quickly morphed into an open warfare against civilians and civilian infrastructure, exacerbating the already catastrophic suffering of people across the region. It is now engulfing countries around the world, impacting populations everywhere, and threatening the livelihood of millions. This is what happens when the norms, institutions, and legal framework painstakingly built to safeguard humanity are hollowed out for the purpose of domination. I don't think it's the purpose of domination. And it's really weird, right? It's really weird that other people are allowed to colonize as long as they're doing it in a legal way that the native populations can't fight back. But if you try fighting in any other way, that's bad. That's bad. You can't do that. I don't know. I just don't really take that seriously. The Middle East has been the way it is for thousands of years, and it will continue to be that way for thousands of years to come. I do not wish for Americans to be in the sandbox. Amnesty's 2025 annual report moves beyond warning of imminent breakdown to documenting a collapse now underway, and exposing its devastating consequences for human rights, global stability, and the lives of millions in 2026 and beyond. It calls on states around the world to urgently reject the politics of appeasement embraced in 2025, overcome fear, and resist in words and actions the construction of a predatory world order. I would love to resist the construction of a predatory world order. When are we going to start throwing communists from helicopters again? Predatory attacks are accelerating the destruction of international law. The state of the world's human rights and Amnesty International's documentation so far this year detail pervasive crimes under international law and mounting attacks on the international justice system, which are gravely harming the foundations that underpin human rights globally. Israel has maintained its genocide against Palestinians in Gaza despite the October 2025 ceasefire agreement, and its system of apartheid over Palestinians, while accelerating the expansion of illegal settlements in the occupied West Bank, including East Jerusalem, and taking steps towards annexation. Israeli authorities have increasingly allowed or encouraged settlers to attack and terrorize Palestinians with impunity, and prominent officials have praised and glorified violence against Palestinians, including arbitrary arrest and the torture of detainees. I have absolutely no idea what's going on with this, and as someone with no idea what's going on, if I've just read a whole bunch of lies prior to this, I'm not likely to believe your version of events. The United States of America has committed over 150 extrajudicial executions by bombing boats in the Caribbean based, get rid of the drug boats, and the Pacific, and carried out an act of aggression against Venezuela in January 2026. Get rid of commie dictators! Russia has intensified its aerial attacks on critical civilian infrastructure in Ukraine, while Myanmar's military used motorized paragliders to drop explosive munitions on villages last year, killing dozens of civilians, including children. That part not based, but is that part true? I don't know. The United Arab Emirates has fueled the conflict in Sudan by providing advanced Chinese weaponry to the Rapid Support Forces, who seized control of El Fasher last October after an 18-month siege of the city and committed mass civilian killings and sexual violence. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, the M23 armed group, with the active support of Rwanda, captured the cities of Goma and Bukavu and unlawfully killed civilians and tortured detainees. Hasn't there been an active genocide in Rwanda for like decades now? Is it advanced or Chinese? They're kind of antonyms. Yeah, and also, I don't know if the United Arab Emirates has to supply Chinese weaponry to African countries when Chinese are actively in there colonizing. It's like the Chinese can just give it to them there, you know? Like, in early 2026, the USA and Israel's unlawful use of force against Iran in violation of the UN Charter has triggered retaliatory Iranian strikes on Israel and Gulf Cooperation Council countries, while Israel has escalated its attacks on Lebanon. From the killing of over 100 children in an unlawful U.S. strike on a school in Iran to the devastating attacks by all parties on energy infrastructure, the conflict has endangered the lives and healths of millions of civilians and threatens to inflict vast, predictable, and long-term civilian and environmental harm, impacting access to energy, healthcare, food, and water across an already turbulent region and beyond. Notice how they won't mention the Christian genocide in Sudan? True. In Afghanistan, the Taliban escalated its predatory policies against the female population, with further bans prohibiting them from education, work, and freedom of movement. While in Iran, the authorities massacred protesters in January 2026 in what was likely the most lethal such repression for decades. So if you're in here and you're condemning the authorities in Iran massacring protesters, which, might I add, was the catalyst for the US even bothering to get involved, why would you then complain about the US and Israel's airstrikes if you're also acknowledging that this was bad? What do you want us to do? Say, hey, maybe don't do that while they give us a thumbs up and behead some more protesters? Like, what do you expect them to do in response? The USA, Israel, and Russia further undermined international accountability mechanisms and the International Criminal Court in particular last year. The Trump administration enacted sanctions against ICC staff, collaborators, and the UN Special Rapporteur on the occupied Palestinian territory. I was gonna say, like, yeah, based if he's sanctioning fucking Iran and the UN, but I don't know what the UN Special Rapporteur on the occupied Palestinian territory means. While Russian courts issued arrest warrants against ICC officials. Even in current year, Russia can sometimes do base things. Several other states withdrew or announced their intention to withdraw from the Rome Statute and treaties banning cluster munitions and anti-personnel mines. That's why they get sanctioned. They support Hamas. Imagine, classic left framing, the weak are always right because they're weak, strong are always wrong because they're wrong. And it's a very easy mindset to exploit because a lot of people, they love rooting for an underdog, and as soon as that underdog gets into power, well, they're the new enemy, you know? The vast majority of states have been unwilling or unable to consistently denounce predatory acts by the US, Russia, Israel, or China, or to chisel out diplomatic solutions. The European Union and most European states appeased US assaults on international law and multilateral mechanisms. They have failed to take meaningful action to stop Israel's genocide or end the irresponsible arms and technology transfers, fueling crimes under international law around the world. They have also been unwilling to enact blocking statutes to protect the targets of US sanctions. If the US is sanctioning someone, I don't think it would make our supposed allies look very good if they decided to protect the targets of those we are sanctioning. In fact, it would signal that they are no longer our ally and that they are fair game too. What are you talking about? Including on ICC judges and prosecutors, Italy and Hungary declined to arrest individuals subject to ICC warrants in their territory. Oh, that's unfortunate. While France, Germany, and Poland implied they would do the same. Why would you decline? Why would you decline? What if they've done something bad? World leaders have been far too submissive in the face of attacks on international law and the multilateral system. Their silence and inaction are inexcusable. It is morally bankrupt and will bring nothing but retreat, defeat, and the erasure of decades of hard-fought human rights gains. To appease aggressors is to pour fuel on a fire that will burn us all and scorch the future for generations to come, said Agnes Calamard. Yeah, I mean, if your hard-fought human rights gains are entirely paid for and defended by the United States, I'm gonna have to pull the fuck out, buddy. Not my clay, not my problem. I want to take care of my people, my clay, not yours. The ICC's quangos, true and real. As it was, BB, the ICC wanted them to arrest? Oh, I read that wrong, my bad. Thank you for saying something. I read that wrong. I thought they were saying that, like, they were declining to arrest people in the ICC, because that was, like, what was talked about previously, like, when the US was saying fuck off to the ICC. So I thought they were saying that, like, Italy and Hungary were declining to, like, work with the US, but no, thank you. Thank you. I read that entirely wrong. Some may be tempted to dismiss the system built over the last 80 years as nothing but an illusion. This is to ignore the hard-fought achievements towards the recognition of universal rights, the adoption of multiple international conventions and national laws protecting against racial discrimination and violence against women, enshrining the rights of workers and trade unions, and recognizing the rights of indigenous peoples. It is to forget the poverty addressed, the reproductive rights strengthened, and the justice delivered when states choose to uphold the UN Charter and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I have a question again. So back up here, right, this made me think of it. In Afghanistan, the Taliban escalated its predatory policies against the female population with further bans prohibiting them from education, work, and freedom of movement. All right, so we have that. And you also talk about the recognition of, like, rights when it comes to women. Wouldn't this be amnesty.org saying without saying that some cultures are inherently inferior to others? Because if your culture demands that you repress your women, and Amnesty is against that, well, then that sounds like a shit culture, does it not? But apparently it's bad to call it that. They want a new world order and not even a good one. I'm sick of the new world order, man. International community is such BS. The UN have been going after manga and Japan for being misogynistic, while Japan elected a female prime minister, and the UN let the Taliban on the Security Council. It's such a joke. Just like how fucking that stupid, was it the head of the WHO, he was like beholden to China and had to step down. Like, that was crazy. The political and economic predators and their enablers are declaring the multilateral system dead, not because it's inefficient, but because it's not serving their hegemony and control. The response is not to proclaim it an illusion or beyond repair, but to confront its failures, end its selective application, and keep transforming it so that it's fully capable of defending all people with equal resolve. That's just never gonna happen, buddy. That's just, you can't like legislate equality in that manner. The proliferation of attacks on civil society and social movements deepened in 2025, with sustained efforts to silence and disempower human rights defenders, organizations, and dissenters spreading to almost every part of the world. Authorities in Nepal and Tanzania were particularly brazen in their unlawful use of lethal force to repress protest expressing political and socio-economic grievances. And of what affiliation were those authorities in Nepal? The pronouns now were. They have usurped the commies who controlled their country. The governments in Afghanistan, China, Egypt, India, Kenya, and the USA and Venezuela, among others, also violently repressed protests, criminalized dissent through counterterrorism and security laws, or used abusive policing tactics, enforced disappearances, or extrajudicial executions. The USA does not have enough arrests of people claiming to be protesters when in actuality they are violent and impeding law enforcement. Like, it's actually a crazy thing to see happen in real time. In the United Kingdom, authorities prescribed Palestine Action, a direct action protest network primarily targeting Israeli arms manufacturers and their subsidiaries, under overly broad counter-terrorism laws, and arrested more than 2,700 people for peacefully opposing the ban. The UK High Court ruled this unlawful in February 2026, and the government is appealing the decision. To me, that sounds like not protest, but like they're trying to burn down manufacturing buildings, which, like, yeah, that would be terrorism, would it not? Turkish authorities detained hundreds of peaceful protesters, get an editor, of peaceful protesters after the arrest of Istanbul mayor and presidential candidate Ekrem İmamoğlu, who is among over 400 people facing politically motivated prosecution under alleged corruption charges. U.S. authorities launched an unlawful clampdown on migrants, refugees, and asylum seekers, committing unnecessary and excessive use of force, racial profiling, arbitrary detention, and practices that amounted to torture and enforced disappearance. Not disappearance, they can't stay here, they must go home. Get them all out, all the migrants, all the refugees, the asylum seekers, the illegals, people who are defrauding our system. Remove them, send them home. In Latin America, states such as Ecuador, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Paraguay, Peru, and Venezuela adopted or reformed legal frameworks that impose disproportionate controls on civil society organizations, directly impacting their ability to operate, access resources, support communities, and defend human rights. Many governments, facilitated by corporate actors, used spyware and digital censorship to restrict freedom of expression with the right to information. U.S. authorities used AI-powered surveillance tools to target foreign students expressing solidarity with Palestinians with arrest and deportation. That's not what happened at all. If you are like siding with terrorists and you are repeating terrorist propaganda, yes, you will be deported. What the fuck are we talking about? Serbia's government used spyware and digital forensic tools against student protesters, civil society, and journalists. Kenyan authorities systemically deployed technology-facilitated repression tactics, including online intimidation, threats, incitement to hatred, and unlawful surveillance to suppress youth-led protests. It's the same garbage as mostly peaceful. Yeah, it's like, oh, you're actually being offensive by having borders and shit. The USA, Canada, France, Germany, and the UK, among others, announced or enacted sweeping cuts to international aid budgets despite knowing they would likely result in millions of avoidable deaths. They're not my people, they're not my problem. Why are we sending them money? They should be taken care of by their governments. Their deaths, if they die, blame their government, not the lack of like US or Canada or UK funding. The fuck are you talking about? And in several cases, while committing to massive parallel hikes in military expenditure, this has had a catastrophic impact on NGOs' efforts to advance press freedom, climate resilience, and gender justice, to protect refugees, migrants, and asylum seekers, and to provide healthcare and sexual and reproductive rights. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Collapse all of the NGOs. Get them out. You are tax cattle. Many states continue to resist reining in the aggressive tax avoidance and evasion by billionaires and corporate giants while weakening further restraints on corporate power. In the US, strategic lawsuits against public participation had a chilling effect on civil society, with one such lawsuit in a court ordering Greenpeace to pay a fossil fuel company $345 million, reduced from an initial $660 million. I didn't even hear about that, but based, fuck Greenpeace. What are we doing? In a context dominated by the US president describing climate change as a scam, governments did nowhere near enough to address climate displacement, equitably transition away from fossil fuels, or adequately ramp up finance for climate action, even as the UN Environment Program warned that the world is on track to reach 3 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels by 2100. I am tired of the climate alarmists. I don't give a single fuck. Give me nuclear energy. What alternative do the bullies and predators offer to the imperfect global experiment they're so intent on destroying? I'm sorry, the what? The what? The imperfect global experiment? Is that why certain demographics are not allowed to have countries? Is that Mr. Keir Starmer saying all of this unchecked immigration was by design? Your politicians were in on it, they did this to you, and it was a failed experiment? That's interesting, buddy. The world order they propose is one that mocks and discards racial, gender, and climate justice. Good, and it should! There should be no commie gobbledygook such as racial justice, or gender justice, or climate justice. Justice is what justice is, and you don't pick it up and piecemeal it for different people depending on their immutable characteristics. I fucking hate these quangos! Treat civil society as an enemy, no, that's what you guys do, and rejects international solidarity. It is built on silencing dissent, weaponizing the law, and dehumanizing those deemed others. That is literally what the left has been doing, especially for the last 20 fucking years. Are you kidding me? There's literally people on Twitter who say that you cannot be racist to white people. I cannot think of a statement more dehumanizing than that, besides just blatantly saying you deserve to die for being white. What are we talking about? Their vision of the world is predicated not on respect for our common humanity, but on military force, trade domination, and technological hegemony. It is ultimately a vision with no moral compass. I hate this woman. No wonder she was named Agnes. No one with the name Agnes has ever been a good person in the history of ever. Rejects international solidarity. Then there's the USA-Japan Twitter. True. Protesters, civil society, and international bodies lead efforts to resist, disrupt, and transform. Disrupt is being used quite a lot since we started seeing that like a year ago. Undeterred by adversity, millions around the world are resisting injustice and authoritarian practices. Gen Z protests swept over a dozen countries in 2025, including Indonesia, Kenya, Madagascar, Morocco, Nepal, and Peru. And what exactly were they protesting? Because Nepal's Gen Z, they elected their new leader on Discord. They were protesting the commie gobbledygook that all of you in this article are espousing. And around 300,000 people defied Hungary's ban on Budapest Pride to defend LGBTI rights. Throughout early 2026, demonstrators from Los Angeles and Minneapolis have organized street by street and block by block against violent and highly militarized U.S. immigration enforcement raids. This is a bad thing. Impeding U.S. law enforcement is a bad thing. We must have these deportations. Mass demonstrations against Israel's genocide spread around the world last year, and humanitarians from over 40 countries launched flotillas to show solidarity with Palestinians. Global activism against the flow of arms to Israel expanded, with dock workers in France, Greece, Italy, Morocco, Spain, and Sweden seeking to disrupt arms shipment routes. Activism and legal pressure also led several states to restrict or ban arms exports to Israel. While many governments appeased attacks on an international justice, several states and bodies bucked this trend by demonstrating their commitment to multilateralism and rule of law. A growing number acknowledged that Israel was committing genocide, and several states joined the Hague Group and contributed to South Africa's case against Israel before the International Court of Justice. So when they say, like, contributed to South Africa's case, they mean, like, the ruling party of South Africa, right? Which, again, aren't they racist communists? The Philippines handed former President Rodrigo Duterte over to the ICC to face charges of the crimes against humanity of murder, and the court issued warrants against 2 Taliban leaders for gender-based persecution. The Council of Europe and Ukraine agreed to establish the special tribunal for the crime of aggression against Ukraine, and a hybrid court in the Central African Republic convicted 6 former members of an armed group for war crimes and crimes against humanity. I have a question. I am obviously not from the Philippines, but whenever I heard anything about Duterte, it was about him basically killing off drug runners and cartel kinds of people. And so that makes me wonder, like, why does everybody hate Duterte? Oh shit, I didn't mean to click on that. Why does everybody hate Duterte? But, like, how is Mr. Bukake doing much different? I mean, I guess he's not just killing them, he's putting them in prison forever, but... Duterte being arrested is bullshit. He went after communist rebels and was getting rid of drug cartels. See, that's what I know about him, but, like, I'm obviously not from the Philippines. I haven't been there, so maybe there's, like, something I don't know about him, you know? He killed a bunch of political rivals, and anyone he didn't like is, so he was pulling, like, a Nelson Mandela. Yeah, that's pretty fucking bad. The UN Human Rights Council established an independent investigative mechanism for Afghanistan and a fact-finding mission and commission of inquiry on the eastern DRC, and expanded the mandate of its fact-finding mission on Iran. Significant progress was made toward a binding UN tax convention and a crimes against humanity convention, and the ICJ and the Inter-American Court of Human Rights issued landmark advisory opinions affirming state human rights obligations to respond to climate change, or climate damage. Why would I give a single fuck? Like what they say about human rights in regards to climate damage? Why does that matter? What do you mean? Duterte was based going against the drug cartels and commies, but the Philippines doesn't exactly have a lot of judicial protections, and so it was also trivially easy for him to get rid of any detractors. Yeah, see, that's why you gotta be real fucking careful with who is actually going to be fixing things. More states have started speaking out against authoritarian practices and attacks on the rule-based order in 2026, with the Spanish government notably taking principled stands, but such calls must be backed up with decisive and sustained action. When they say with the Spanish government notably taking principled stands, are they talking about when Spain just gave, like, de facto amnesty to hundreds of thousands of fucking people who were there illegally, thus fucking over Spanish citizens? Is that what you mean by this, you fucking freak-ass Agnes? From city streets to multilateral forums, 2025 brought powerful displays of resistance and solidarity from protesters, diplomats, political leaders, and many others around the world. We must build on their example and courage and forge bold coalitions to reimagine, rebuild, and recenter the global order around human rights, the rule of law, and universal values. Those don't exist, Agnes man. Universal values do not exist, otherwise all cultures would be the same, identical to each other. Let 2026 be the year we assert our agency and demonstrate that history is not merely something imposed upon us, it is ours to make, and for the sake of humanity, the time to make history is now. And I agree with Agnes. If we do not fight back against people like Agnes wanting to ruin the world for everyone, we will no longer have any country to call home, we will no longer have any culture of our own, and we will no longer be able to do anything but be a tax slave cattle to the rest of the world.